All right, I want to start off by giving all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. This is Zakaria from the GMS Dallas camp, and I have a lesson that I want to get into. Um, First and foremost, I want to just let the viewers know that I'm going to be using some foul language, not just for the sake of saying foul language, but for edification. And the song that you hear in the background, the title of the song is Gamo Tin Astinomia, and that's Greek for fuck the police. Now, I'm not just saying that just to be saying that. That word gamo is what I really wanted to touch on. And I wanted to use it in that particular manner to show what that word gamo means. It means fuck in Greece. Now, if you were to take that word gamo and add an S, you'll have gamos. And that word gamos actually means a marriage, a union between two people. And in the lesson, I'm gonna get into that. But just as this intro, just to let the viewers know that there will be some foul language, and you're even gonna see foul language on the screen. So if that's a turn off to you, or if you feel like it's too much for you, then you probably want to watch another video. But once again, I'm not using the words just to be using them. I'm using it for the sake of edification. And with that, I'm gonna start the lesson. Alright, so jumping right into the lesson, I'm going to be reading from John chapter 2, verse 1. And I wanted to use this scripture because it talks specifically about a marriage, more a popular marriage. You know, people always talk about the time that Yahushua turned the water into wine. So I just wanted to use this particular scripture because Yahushua and the disciples were going to a marriage. And I'm going to read I'll just start at the top. John chapter 2, verse 1. And the third day there was a marriage in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Yahushua was there. And both Yahushua was called and his disciples to the marriage. Now I'll stop right there, and we're going to go into that word marriage. Now that word marriage, as you see here, is gamos. Gamos. And that particular word is talking about a feast or a banquet, which is customary to have the feast before the man and woman actually, got together for the act of sex. So you have that word gamos, which is really referring to the premarital activities, in the sense of the banquet, the feast, just like now you have people, the wedding reception, the wedding reception, and all those things. That's what the gamos is referring to. Now, any word in the Greek, any words that have the prefix gamo or suffix gamo or as you see here, gamo, gamy, or gamous, is referring to a marriage, union, wedding, pertaining to a sexual union. So all this shows you is that in the scriptures, when you see that word marriage, it's not referring to a piece of paper as to what brings a man and a woman together. It's referring to the act of sex. As you read here, gamogenesis, sexual reproduction, gamogenetic, back up here, gamic, having sexual character. And that, like it says up here in the Greek, gamo, all these different meanings are pertaining to a union between two particular things. It could be a plant, could be, some other type of life, but we're talking about with a man and a woman. That gamos that you see in the scriptures is referring to a wedding, which is that premarital situation, the party and all that. But when you want to deal with the actual word, actual having sex, you wouldn't use that word gamos. Now, if you speak Greek and you were to say, you know, gamos to somebody, they would say, yeah, you're referring to a wedding. But if you were to just say gamo, then they would look at you kind of like, man, you can't talk like that because that's it's saying gamo is the equivalent to the English word fuck. So if just like if you were in I don't know in a store somewhere and you were using the word fuck, people would be looking at you like, man, you tripping. But that word gamo is referring to the actual act of having sex. As you see here, that gamo, when you have gamo, that's really referring to the two people coming together, the two people that act of having sex. Gamos is the premarital, activities of having sex. I'm gonna go to another little page here. Now, when you just, if you want to just type in Google Translate and take the word marriage in the English, type it, and then you want to translate to the Greek, you'll have gamos. Now, if you want to take that word fuck and type it in and look for the Greek term, you'll have gamo. So, what is the real act of having married, or of the real act of getting married? The real act of two people to coming together is that gamo. Without the gamo, there's no gamos. Without two people having sex, there is no marriage. Those two people can have the premarital activities, the party and all those things, but if they don't actually do the gamo, if they don't actually have sex, then there is no union. And one of the ways that as by law, one of the ways that you can have an annulment to a marriage is by, I'm on this page, it says, can my marriage be annulled? One of the ways the only ways you can have an annulment is if two people do not have sex. That makes the marriage null and void, hence the word annulment. So I'm going to read from here. What are the grounds for an annulment? The specific requirements differ from state to state, but there are four grounds that are most common. And this is for New Jersey. I just typed in, what are the grounds for annulment. It's really the same for all states, but the one I want to focus on is a spousal's refusal or inability to consummate the marriage. Basically, this means that one spouse refuses to or is physically unable to have sex with the other spouse. That's an annulment. That's one of the only ways that your marriage can be annulled. And annulment means pretty much that it just doesn't count. It never happened. That's one of the only ways is if you don't have sex, then that marriage is never, as you see that word here that I highlighted, consummated. What does that word consummate mean? Consummate. Make a marriage or relationship complete by having sexual intercourse. Now, that's the only way to make a complete marriage. Now, you can have the gamos, which, like I said, is the premarital activities, the party, the dancing, and the walking down the aisle, the preacher there. You can do all that stuff, but if you're not having sex, if you're not consummating the marriage, then as by law, as by Esau's law, there's no actual marriage. And even more importantly, by the law of the Most High, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, without that sex, that's not a complete marriage. And with that, all praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the elect. And Lord willing, you brothers are edified. Shalom.